Hey, Chris Manning here from Locked on Cavs. Cavs basketball is back. Evan and I are here to talk about it on Locked on Cavs. Please hit subscribe on YouTube if you have not already. We're going to talk about the game, and the Cavs are actually back in action tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. or today if you're listening to this in Atlanta. So we'll dive into that. But today's episode is all, by the way, just a reminder. I want to thank you for making Locked on Cavs your first listen every day. We're free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Let's get into the show.
You are Locked On Cavs, your daily Cleveland Cavaliers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Evan, Cavs basketball is officially back. We obviously got a taste at Summer League. We've had some training camp stuff. But they got smoked by the Chicago Bulls. They would say it got stampeded.
The Bulls are on parade. You're a Beastie Boys fan.
There we go. I was trying to make like another like running of the Bulls joke, but I don't have it in me. It's late. I'm not in it's post game recording shape.
It's 11-11. Chris, make a wish. My wish is for the Cavs to look semi-competitive tomorrow against the Hawks, and we have to recap that game too.
Yeah, so we'll see what that looks like. But they lose 131-95. Down by 6 after one, outscored 36-21 in the second quarter, outscored 44-24 in the third quarter. And the fourth quarter, the Cavs won 23-18. So that was obviously scintillating preseason basketball. I think I just want to couch this, and I think I speak for you in this, is that look, like, we're not going to overreact to this. If you're a fan who's pissed off, I can understand that. But I think the way my brain works is sort of, and I think you and I are on the same wavelength here, it's just like, this is a lot of guys who have not played basketball in a long time. This is a starting lineup that had never played a minute of NBA basketball together before. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's going to take some time here. Like, I took some notes. I kind of stopped at a certain point. I'm tracking the rotation more effortfully this year, which we'll talk about a little bit. I think that's kind of my big thing I want to talk about, really. But even that, like, I stopped doing it at a certain point because I was just like, there's not really a reason for me to continue like doing this when there's a limit on how much this is going to matter. I mean, like I thought it was, I kind of don't know why he didn't get asked about it post game, and it's a failing on my part too. But like I don't think it matters that like Ricky Rubio started the second half. He probably just wanted like a look at that lineup just for funsies. But Evan, any kind of broad thoughts before we kind of talk about stuff, I guess?
Well, I agree with you in the sense that JB said this pregame. Were you there for pregame media avail or no?
Yes.
Okay, because I asked, yeah, you were. Sorry, because I asked JB if he was on crutches, and then asked about Darius Garland being a leader. He made it pretty clear that you should not read too much into any of the rotations that he deploys during the preseason. He's quite literally figuring out his rotations on the fly. He said that there's a learning curve for this team's offense. I think he made a lot of good points, and despite the fact that this is a very frustrating loss, it's you can't really set things up offensively or try this new offensive identity when you're a couple steps out of sync and you have 22 turnovers. Like that's the backbreaking stat for the Cavs tonight. Like, if you're a new listener, we usually do stat of the night, play of the night, MVP, things like that, but there's nothing really to talk about in this game. So we'll see what happens. The Cavs going to be learning on the fly. This is a young team. That became pretty clear pretty fast. The Bulls looked pretty fun. I think they're going to be an interesting team too. And yeah, there's not too much to read into the fact that Isaac Okoro got benched to start the second half. I think it's quite literally JB is trying for the first three quarters to see what rotations and sets work and don't work, so he can just pull the plug on them earlier instead of, when these games actually count. I do feel confident more so now saying that I think the over-under for the Cavs is 26.5. I'm going to smash the under on that. Like, I'm not really a betting man, but I actually might put $100 on the Cavs winning less than 26 games this year. It's just the youth and inexperience is really going to come and bite them in the keister, because there was a lot of small things I saw that were just like small mental mistakes, like Colin missing an easy read and getting blocked by Alonzo Ball early in the first, or maybe midway in the first half. Like, that was a bad look.
There's some very easy things that if you just kind of handle them like a little bit differently, like a lot of my notes is like, this is just something that makes sense to me, but like wasn't executed in the way you want. And like
And
that's
Darius
the
was a little.
preseason.
Darius was being a little too unselfish at times. He's a little gun shy, like he still is. Ricky Rubio was a little too confident with his threes. Ricky's not really part of the young core here, so not too focused. Markkanen was ice cold. I think maybe he was a little too jazzed to be playing against the Bulls. I mean, it is what it is. It's the preseason. You get this stuff out. You work out some of the kinks. This is the first time they're playing competitive-ish basketball against not their own teammate. So we're on to Atlanta. To quote Bill Belichick, I could say we're on to Cincinnati on this one. So just move on from it. It's not a huge deal. But yeah, I'm going to smash the under on that one. Like the Cavs, I feel pretty comfortable in saying that they will be flirting with that first overall pick. And maybe Emity Bates will be an option for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Well, he's ineligible for the draft for 2 years. I'm
just a big old idiot.
I'm just fact checking you live, buddy. That's what we do here. So
listen, my
it's like next year's like the Chet Holmgren. There's like the Chet Holmgren class.
Oh my God! If it's Chet Holmgren, Kobe Altman's salivating at adding another big man to this roster.
Okay, but I don't want to talk. I don't want to get. I don't. We're not. I'm putting a moratorium on the podcast now. I'm not talking about the 2022 draft after this until like
2022.
May. Until May. I'm not talking about it for a long time. I don't care right now. I don't care.
I'm going to break that solemn oath. I'm going to slowly drag you in. OU's going to have a promising season. We'll talk about some BS Matt Guard and how excited you'll get it. You'll get his jersey framed if it's a Cavs jersey hanging on your back wall next to the LeBron's giving Steph the stink eye picture behind you. That's how I'll rope you in. And then I'll be like, yo, did you see what Chet's been doing up at Gonzaga?
We're not doing that. I tend to
Paolo Banchero.
Yeah,
I only know that name because of NBA 2K. That's it.
Okay, we're done with this. I think like the quote that I thought just stood out for me, kind of from post game stuff, was like AJB talked about the continuous learning process. He used that word specifically. That makes sense to me. Wins and lessons, I think, is a good framework for kind of what we're doing here and kind of talking about a lot of this. I think that should be their internal kind of thing. And then also, look,
you can't just stare at a championship banner when being asked a question during practice. Oh,
yeah. And it looks like you can't turn the ball over 20 times and play good offense. Like that's just true. I think that if there's something I did like from the first half, and I think the second segment we'll talk about the 9 guys that really played the bulk of the minutes here. I like that they were like actively trying to at least move the ball up the floor at a pace. Like it didn't look like they were comfortable with it yet. It didn't look like everything was always coherent.
It felt like they were like a step or two too fast.
Well, yeah, it doesn't feel like they know exactly how to play at that pace yet, and that's like to be expected. Like I mean, this could be a very brutal start to the year for this team. It wouldn't surprise me if that's the case. But like last year, there's a lot of times where I'm like, okay, you're just getting the ball past half court, and there's only 18 seconds left on the shot clock. Like you don't have the one-on-one isolation guys to kind of make some of that more palatable for you. You like again, it's going to take time. I want to see some, like, it didn't feel like the chemistry is there in terms of kind of cuts being sort of organic and guys kind of flowing into stuff, or like, we saw like that one double drag variation where Mobley dribbled in from the 3-point line. And I was like, oh buddy, this is exciting. So there's some stuff that I think you can be into, but I think there's a limited scope of what I would feel good about. Again, it's first preseason game. They've been practicing for like 10 days. Like this is gonna be ugly. Like there's just no way around it. Like the Bulls yes, also had like a ton of new players and by comparison and stuff, but like those are guys that have like been around and like know how to play professional basketball. Like those guys kind of know what they're doing.
The Bulls have added like an assembled cast of star caliber players, and
like DeMar DeRozan's been around, man. Like that dude knows how to play basketball. Caruso, like guys like that, like Lonzo, like those guys know how to play. Like
speaking of those 3 players, when Donovan rolled out a lineup of DeRozan, Caruso, and Lonzo, I was just like, ooh, I can mess with this. This looks fun, and it was fun. This Bulls team on paper is like has a lot of things I like from a basketball team.
Yeah. One other thing I just want to shout out is a fun thing was there was a moment where Isaac Okoro played off-ball defense and poked the ball out of bounds and prevented an open 3-point look from the corner. I just love that man playing off-ball defense. That is just extremely my stuff.
Isaac Okoro is a fun player.
Austin Carr, by the way, loves Isaac Okoro.
Austin Carr likes anything positive.
Yeah, but he was just like really into Okoro and really into Lamar Stevens. Like he seemingly has a type. That was just notable to
It's
me.
not a bad thing. My
No.
favorite thing, I cannot believe I'm saying this. My favorite thing I missed is when an opposing player hits a three. It's like a back-breaking three that is already on an already broken back. You
Yeah.
hear AC just go, whoa. Just like,
Whoa. Yeah.
Let's take a quick break though, and
Yeah.
let's pay those bills.
Yeah, you got to tell everyone first about our friends at Sweatblock.
That is true. Today's episode of Locked On Cavs is brought to you by Sweatblock. It is doctor created, doctor recommended. It works for up to 7 days per use. Dry shirt guaranteed. And if Sweatblock doesn't keep you dry, you get your money back. It's featured and tested on the Rachel Ray Show by firefighters, and it is a bestseller on Amazon for the past 10 years. Over 13,000 reviews, and currently they're number one on Amazon's antiperspirant category. I'm partially responsible for that because I've been as AC would say, I've been stocking up on some Sweatblock myself. And for those who want to support this great country, it is manufactured in the USA. So God bless America. And the key message is here, folks. I'm wearing Sweatblock right now. This is a gray t-shirt, and my pits are bone dry, and I can wear whatever I want. And it's my little secret to my confidence, and it is a must-have for everyone's toiletry bag, whether it's for the big presentation or a hot date. Everyone can benefit thanks to Sweatblock. So if you or someone you love is dealing with this, you have to check out Sweatblock. Get it today for 20% off at sweatblock.com with promo code LOCKEDON, or at Amazon or CVS.
Also got to tell you about our friends at Sleeper. And in 2018, the fantasy experts at Sleeper realized that fantasy basketball is broken. Games were being won and lost based on whose players had more scheduled games that week. It made no sense and required very little strategy. So in 2020, Sleeper released a brand new way of playing fantasy basketball. It's called Game Pick, and it's only available on Sleeper. In Game Pick, owners pick a single game per week for each starter to count towards the team's total score, ensuring an even number of games played between opponents. So in Game Picks, you pick one game per week for each player based on player matchups, home versus away, opponent's defensive rating, pace of play, and more. All of that adds up to more strategy and less busy work. So whether you play redraft, keeper, or dynasty, Game Picks has you covered. Sleeper's one-of-a-kind Game Pick is the most strategic fantasy basketball experience in the industry, so you gotta check it out. They've cracked the fantasy basketball code, so go download the Sleeper app and start a league with your friends today. You won't be disappointed. Evan, okay, so here are the 9 Cavaliers players that JB Bickerstaff played for the bulk of this game. The guys that sort of, even though like he will tell you this doesn't mean anything, whatever. If we're going to take something away from this, and I think we kind of have to because it is the reality. Here are the 9 guys that played. Starters, as we knew, Garland, Sexton, Okoro, Mobley, Allen. Then you had Rubio. You had Markkanen as the first 2 guys off the bench, subbed in very quickly early. I think probably that will not be the case. You know, I imagine the starters are going to play more than like 4 minutes together, once we get into the season, but that's what it was tonight. Kevin Love and Cedi Osman. Those were the 9. What do you make of that? What did you think of what we kind of saw of those 9 guys as kind of like the rotation as we understand it right now?
I think those first 8 are your most obvious options. I think we need to ask JB about this a little bit more. JB needs to be a little honest about it too. Is Kevin Love going to play on back-to-backs, or are you going to rest him on the second of a back-to-back or the first? Like that gives a little versatility and fluidity for that 8th, or like say 8th and 9th man spot, and then the 10th man can be your specialist, as JB puts it. So that could be your Lamar Stevens, that could be your Dean Wade, that could even be your Dylan Windler if Dylan Windler is actually used off a screen in 3-point situation. Dylan took a 3 tonight and it broke my heart because I'm just like, I want to see you actually shoot the rock some more. But I think Cedi is the last one in this rotation. I think he's the one who's actually truly fighting for a rotation spot. And I can firmly say that it's that first 5 plus Rubio, Markkanen, and Love as like the core, not necessarily like young core, but just core 8 players that'll be playing on a night-to-night basis. If it's a back-to-back, you remove Love from that equation, then it's 7 players. So you have Osman battling for that 9th man spot, and then you have like the Dean Wades, the Dylan Windlers, the Lamar Stevens, even the Denzel Valentines of the world too, battling.
Who got booed every time he touched the ball? Funnily, in this, not funnily, I guess, but like he got booed. Literally touches the ball for half a second, and the not full crowd in Chicago is like letting him have it.
I wonder if they saw me quoting him on Twitter because
Well, I'm sure
Chicago
they saw
fans were not happy about what
I'm
he
sure
said.
I'm sure they saw the quote.
The quote itself, but
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. Chicago's in a better place, and both players that the Cavs now have got booed. But either way, check out Locked On Bulls to listen to their perspective on it because Bulls
they're
basketball's back.
knowing Matt Peck is probably ecstatic. My hottest take, Evan, coming out of this game is that I was
setting you up for this one. I was putting the ball on the tee for you, letting you smack this one out of the park because I like this take.
I've been Lamar Stevens built. I think that guy.
You took the blue pill and not just blue like Nittany Lion blue.
A Nittany Lion bit me, and his name's Bill DiFilippo.
No, Bill DiFilippo appeared to you in a trench coat and Neo glasses, and he said, "Blue pill or blue pill." You had no choice.
Yeah, I actually did alert him in the Uprock Slack about this, and he called the Cavs a poverty franchise as a joke for not playing them. Look, here's the thing. I want to say in Jetty's defense, there's a couple little things that I thought he did okay. He had a nice cut from the corner that was like,
I really like that play. That was the one play I really like. We were talking about like offensive tweaks. I'm like, yeah, no, I really like that just because we'll talk about it.
Yeah. So he did that. He made a corner three. Had that nice it was one time he ran a pick and roll. He made the kind of pass where it's like, okay, like he sort of knew that Rubio was going to rotate back up and like was going to be there to kind of take the ball in keep the offense moving in that direction. That was at least something good he did. But like, I think if you play Lamar Stevens, concerns like he played garbage minutes, not that he was garbage, but like in garbage time where like he was basically running point because like Pangos was pretty bad. And looked like athletically like there's going to be an adjustment for him there. Like Lamar is like Jetty got back cut to death by Zach LaVine. Like Zach LaVine had this incredible dunk where he just basically back cut on Jetty from the corner, yammed it. Jetty's defense was like pretty bad against LaVine, but like also guys like Matt Thomas who like couldn't crack in Toronto for a couple of years. Like I again, like Lamar's shooting is like a wart. He did take 2 threes, missed both of them. Looked okay form wise, I would say. Like I'm not an expert or anything, but like didn't look like his elbow was like out here or anything like that. Mm-hmm. Like Lamar is not going to get like back cut, and Lamar is going to like compete and be jacked and like be competitive. And like I kind of would rather have that as my 9th guy. I'm pilled. I'm Lamar pilled.
You took I'm so glad you're finally agreeing with me here. Lamar Stevens is quite literally like the type of player that JB Bickerstaff wants. And when it comes
to I felt love like the thing is like I just want to say just real quick, this is payback for you interrupting me a lot. I got pilled by Lamar last year, and then I was like talk myself out of it. Like I was like
timeout. Like I think saying getting pilled is not a good thing. That sounds like really sketchy. Let's try something else here.
I was enticed by Lamar Stevens last year.
That sounds just as bad. Let's just say your third eye was open.
No, I'm not Kyrie. I thought Lamar was good last year, and I felt like when he played, like he did positive things and like played hard. And it's just like I can live with that. And then it's just like I think you just think about like some of the non-modern things that he does and whatever, and like that doesn't have like some of the rounded game that you might want and whatever. And then I'm like, I think like on a team that like clearly has like wing depth issues, I just think like I'm intrigued. I'm just intrigued. I kind of want like tomorrow night. Like we'll talk about this when we talk about the Hawks game at the end here. But like, I kind of just want to see him get the Jetty minutes just for funsies.
I do too. I'm really sorry for interrupting you, man. I really like talking Cavs with my best friend Chris Manning. Sue me, jeez.
The papers are coming.
We have the same lawyer, so this is going to be awkward.
Yeah, it's Ashley Bastock's our lawyer.
I can see it. It's the real power move on her part. She's a mover and a shaker, but yeah, I agree with you, man. Like Lamar. So to my original point, JV Bickerstaff is looking for the following things from his wing. He wants speed and athleticism. You just put those two together because he wants to play. I think I really do think JB Bickerstaff during his time off watched a lot of like old Top Gear, maybe some Grand Tour, and heard Jeremy Clarkson say you can solve everything with speed and power. So that's it kind of feels like JB's philosophy now. This is just my scatterbrain talking now too, but he's looking for that. He's looking for shooting. He's looking for defense, and I think Lamar possesses two of those three things, and I think that earns him some those rotation minutes as well. And maybe you theoretically put Markkanen next to him. You can put Love next to him because Kevin Love looked not bad tonight.
Yeah,
like
did
Kevin Love just hovered the perimeter.
Love and Markkanen together. I'm good. I'm good if we never see that again. That was like, oh buddy, this doesn't work. Just let's end this. I have one more point. Let's talk about Kevin Love for 1 second, then we'll go to the Hawks thing. I got a real kick out of the fact that like he had there's that classic they ran a pick and pop with him, and it was a very classic. I'm gonna shot fake and then I'm gonna lead my shoulder in, but they're not calling that now, so we had to pass it, and that led, I believe, to the Jetty corner cut.
Yes.
Just I was like, in real time, my brain was like, oh, like he can't do this anymore. Like he had to like pass the ball and actually play basketball, and it was IMO a better product for us to watch.
I have a counterpoint to that. I thought it was really funny during the Cavs broadcast that they showed Steph Curry making the illegal move and Kevin Love making the legal move, because there is a legality to it. If it looks like a fluid shot motion, they'll call a foul on the defender.
Well, Mobley got baited by DeRozan on this in the first half, I think. It was like in the three. It wasn't like a 3-point shot, but it was like he did.
It's DeMar DeRozan. Of course, it's not a 3-point shot. Also, he hit like a long two, and I'm just like, oh yeah,
we're back. We're back. Yeah, but the last thing on this game, then I never want to talk about it again. Leanne, my wife, came out in the living room at one point when I was watching. I said, look at the score, and all she had to say was yuck, and then she made this face. So, Cavs, you failed. Failed.
Let's take another break. Let's pay some bills, and we will talk about the Hawks after this.
Yeah, so look, got to tell everyone about our friends at Bet Online. We're back, and we're better than ever. All eyes on the gridironers. Teams are back for another football season. As always, BetOnline is your number one spot for all the pro and college football action this season, with a new updated site and interface, and even more odds, props, and contests. BetOnline continues to be the number one source for everything football. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Don't forget to use the promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. That's BetOnline, where the game starts. Okay, Evan, Cavs Hawks, Wednesday, October 6th in Atlanta. What are you looking for?
Well, for the Hawks, they have no Bogdanovich. They have no Capella. DeAndre Hunter's probable. They have no Okongwu, which we already knew that one. Trae Young is doubtful. I'm hoping to see more Lamar Stevens minutes off the top. Like, I think you make a really good point about that. Like, why not? JD needs to figure out this wing rotation sooner instead of later. Like, there's going to be a lot of experimenting. We're going to have to watch the two timelines of player development and remaining competitive too. There's the Mike Punch getting ready to compete for the playoffs sooner instead of later, because I think there's going to be some external pressure and internal pressures rather as well. I'm not really looking for much. I think maybe a little bit more competition. I think Atlanta being a little hampered might, and the Hawks being a good team, they might not really come out guns blazing like the Bulls did, but who knows? Maybe because they're playing against their home crowd, they will. Excited to see Isaac and Colin have a homecoming in Atlanta. They're always excited to come back there, and I'm intrigued to see if Kevin Love plays. Maybe we can get a real idea of whether or not he will be available. And maybe Taco Fall connects with the team too. I gather that he had a visa issue, and that is like a work visa issue. So that's why he wasn't able to play with the Cavs or go on this trip with them to Chicago, because he sorted that out. So that's why he was listed as out and didn't travel with the team. So I don't know. Maybe we'll just take a look at some of these other fringe guys. Maybe get some more Kevin Pangos minutes. I'm interested by him. Like, it's clear that he may not be like NBA ready, but there's something there. And I think I need to see more minutes of him not playing with garbage dudes in order to see that happen. So maybe a little less Rubio because he banged knees to somebody tonight, and you let him rest up a little bit and you play a little bit more Pangos and you kind of see what you have there instead.
Yeah, let's see if I kind of would expect Kevin won't play. We'll kind of find out pregame, kind of what JB has to say about that. Like there's some tweaks, and I want to see how one of the things we're gonna see is like Colin had to start out this game on Lonzo, and tomorrow he may start out defending Cam Reddish, and both these guys are bigger. Like that's just going to be a thing. We're going to see more of him, I think, defending kind of bigger opposing guard. It's just going to be a thing. We're going to have to see Colin how he navigates it. Let's just see if they look more comfortable. I mean, one of the Colin and Evan Mobley were the two guys who spoke. Colin Sexton and Evan Mobley were the two guys who spoke post game, and they both were just like, "Look, like we needed to get some jitters out. We needed to just kind of get this one out of our system. It was our first game back, all that stuff." I can buy that, right? Like I can buy that as like a thing to some extent. I don't necessarily believe that tomorrow we're gonna get to it at the end of the game and think like, okay, the Cavs have like their nerves are gone, the adjustment period's over, blah, blah, blah. Like that's not how this is gonna work. But do they look more comfortable? Do they look, a little more settled after getting to play a game? It's tough to do a back-to-back so quickly early in the preseason. Welcome to the NBA, Evan Mobley, just getting a chance to like go to have to like fly from one city in the it's only an hour time difference, but with the time difference and like really get into that right away. I was curious to see how he kind of feels about that if we hear from him after the game and whatever. But like this isn't, again, as you noted, this isn't a full strength Atlanta team either. There's no reason for Trey to play in this game. They have a bunch of other really good players injured. Like it's not going to be like scintillating. Like it's not going to be as nearly stacked of a team, as the Cavs saw in Chicago. Like it's going to be a little bit different. So I'm curious to see, what this looks like, I guess. But I have a hard time like getting too invested in any like preseason stuff, I guess.
Yeah, it's silly to get worked up over preseason basketball. JB said it off the top. Don't take too much stock from what he is and isn't trying to do with the rotations. You kind of just want to look at some of these players individually, maybe see what they do and don't have. Like some of the new additions, you want to maybe keep a closer eye on. I think Isaac Okoro, if you get a more clear identity of what and where he's at offensively, maybe Evan Mobley too. Like Evan Mobley looked really good defensively. Like he looked great on switches tonight against Chicago. He looked great defending the rim. JB apparently challenged him to gobble up as many defensive boards as he could, and I think he finished the night with a double-double, which is encouraging. And then
two rebounds short of a double-double.
Oh, my apologies. So I must have put the 2 blocks in my head with the 8 rebounds and just assumed it was 10. But either way, he got his spots offensively. Maybe they get Mobley some looks on the perimeter too. Maybe just give me an idea of where he's at as a 3-point shooter. But all in all, I'm not gonna carry too much weight on this one. I'm not super high on this Cavs team's win potential to begin with. I'm just here to see what they have. I mean, Kobe called this last season an evaluation period. I think it's really tough to evaluate this team given just everything going on around it, especially with COVID. I think this is the true evaluation period to see what you have with a lot of these young players because Sexton's extension is going to be on the line this summer if they don't agree to something before the season starts because I imagine that's what they'd like to get it done by. Yep. Garland will be extension eligible. Okoro's in the following off season. Like they have to start figuring some of these things out. So you need to take a long, hard, honest look at where you're at. Either pull the plug and make a win now move, or you keep riding this out. Maybe it costs you your job, but you put the Cavs in a better position going forward. And I think honestly, you try to maximize Evan Mobley's potential so that he can grow a little bit of a quicker rate too. Because I know Kobe said there's not going to be a lot of pressure to put this on Evan Mobley's shoulders. I wonder if he's going to have to eat those words because Evan Mobley, I still think has the potential to be the best player for this Cavs team long term. Like Jared Allen is like the best player in this young core right now, just because he's the most consistent. Darius Garland, if he can put it all together, can really push it over the limit too. But just to jump back to this Atlanta game, it doesn't make sense to be playing Trae Young, like you said. The Hawks really have nothing to gain, a benefit to gain from this. It's just going to be a fun matchup, I hope. Hopefully we see some cool stuff from the Cavs and we have a little bit more positive things to talk about instead of just saying, okay, we're going to punt on this game and focus on what's next.
Yeah. Look, if Evan Mobley, like if he's as good as like it's the NBA survey that came out on Tuesday was indicated that like he was the most picked player to be the best player in the league of this draft class in 5 years. Like of the guys he was drafted with, he'll be the best guy in 5 years from now. He was not the pick for rookie of the year, but um I think that says about what his potential might be in a lot of people's minds. And I thought he arguably might have been the best player on the floor for Cleveland in this game. And like that's not something if he forces their hand, that would be a really interesting outcome that I think isn't among the most likely things I would predict would happen, but it's certainly a thing that could be there. But again, Cavs, Hawks, Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My favorite, aside from Evan, my favorite person in the entire Locked On Network is Brad Rowland from Locked On Hawks. I love Brad. That is my guy. Go listen to Locked On Hawks.
Well, Brad and Sean Coleman really have the two best voices in the Locked On NBA sphere. I mean, other than David Locke, who's quite literally the radio voice of the Utah Jazz. But David, hopefully my check comes in the mail for that one. Send me a quarter zip while I'm at it too.
That is
really
going to be
one.
Yeah, I respect it. Anyway, that is going to be it. We'll be back. Please subscribe on YouTube if you have not already. Please leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and hit subscribe on every of one of your platforms of choice. But everyone will be back again after Cavs Hawks and more stuff coming here on Locked On Cavs. Be well.